Now that we have a baseline ventilator model along with the patient, we can look at design changes in terms of valves, control system, but also changes in patients, changes in the volume of the lungs of the patient, the airway resistance. We can also look at what happens if this ventilator is connected to two separate patients, as we will show here. We can go back to the sketch, simply duplicate the patient, and then we have to make connections so that there is a single inspiration from one ventilator unit to both patients, but then a separate expiration. This is what I've done in this model, where we can see there are two patients, patient A, patient B. Assuming that the patients are completely equal, but they're now fed through the same ventilator. Now that we have a model with two patients, we can run the simulation and compare the results with the previous model where we only had one patient connected to the ventilator. In this plot, I'm comparing the results. So in the solid line is the ventilator connected to two patients, and the dashed line is the previous result with one patient. As we can see, the pressures are a little lower, the volume of the lungs for each patient are a little lower, and the volumetric flow rate to each patient is a little lower. What we can specifically see is that on the oxygen fraction, the solid line ends up being lower. So with connecting the ventilator to two patients, we'll see that there is less oxygen available for each patient. What we can then do is go to the oxygen flow control valve, which has been turned off so far, as it's just air that's entering the patients. We can turn it on for a fraction and see what the impact on the oxygen concentration of both patients are. So we're rerunning the simulation, reloading the results, the configuration of the results plot that I've saved. Do an automatic update, so you can see these are the same, but if we now look at the oxygen fractions, they're much higher than the original. So now we can adjust the control system to allow the oxygen control valve provide the correct amount of oxygen to these patient lungs.